final salute to a pillar of the FDNY community. Hundreds of firefighters paying tribute to Monsignor Delendick. I'm Christine Persichetti. The Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph was packed with people remembering the fallen FDNY chaplain. Monsignor Delendick died last week from a 9/11 related illness. For those who were there that tragic day and for every day after, the man they affectionately called Monsi was the priest they turned to for spiritual guidance. And as Katie Vasquez reports, his loss is deeply impacting the department and the Diocese of Brooklyn.
The streets around the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph coming to a standstill on Friday as more than 1,000 of New York City's bravest offered their final farewell to Monsignor Delendick. The FDNY chaplain served the department for nearly 30 years, and his passing has had a profound impact on those who attended his funeral. He was a priest, but to the FDNY, he was one of their own.
With his quick wit and sometimes a sharp tongue, he easily blended in with our members.
Family, friends, and fellow firefighters filling up the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph to say goodbye to Monsignor Delendick at his funeral mass on Friday.
To Monsignor's family, I want to say that we thank you for sharing him with us.
Monsignor Delendick was ordained a priest in the Diocese of Brooklyn in 1977, serving as a pastor at multiple parishes for more than 40 years.
The life of Monsignor Delendick was a living gospel for so many people.
In 1996, he was made a chaplain to New York's bravest, and 5 years later, he would face the unthinkable, the terrorist attacks of September 11th.
He offered blanket absolution to anyone and everyone he met that day.
Whether at ground zero or a funeral or a memorial, Monsignor Delendick was there for the members of FDNY. And like many who were around that toxic dust, he was eventually diagnosed with a 9/11 related illness, pancreatic cancer.
The cancer, he said, made him a better chaplain because he understood the roller coaster of emotion that comes with such news. Frustration and anger, appreciation and gratitude.
Monsignor Delendick is now one of the thousands of first responders who have died since 9/11, a number that now exceeds the amount of people who died that day. But despite his sickness, Monsignor Delendick faithfully served his flock till his death last Thursday on Thanksgiving. Described by many at the Mass as a man who loved to eat, they found it fitting, since being around a table was one of his favorite gathering places.
Whether in a restaurant, a firehouse, or a rectory table, all who met John went away better and happier.
Monsignor Delendick was taken to his final resting place at St. John Cemetery in Middle Village, but his legacy will live on. A plaque honoring him will be added to the Wall of Remembrance at FDNY headquarters in downtown Brooklyn. In Prospect Heights, Katie Vasquez, Currents News.
Monsignor Delendick was the FDNY's most senior chaplain after the death of Father Michael Judge, the first certified death of 9/11. Other chaplains who knew him, like Rabbi Joseph Potasnik, say his response following those attacks simply show how much the spiritual father cared for the firefighters.
I remember spending so much time with him at Ground Zero during that 9/11 period. And as bodies would come out, he would turn to me and he would say, "You bless them in Hebrew, I'll bless them in English, because we belong to one family. We all have the same spiritual birth certificate." Monsignor Fallacioni told me he never saw John cry. However, that night, he went home, 9/11, and he admitted that he cried like never before.
Sadly, Monsignor Delendick joins a growing list of people who have died from 9/11 related illnesses. According to the World Trade Center Health Program, more than 4,000 first responders and others have passed since September 11th. That's more than the almost 3,000 who died that day. The FDNY has been hit particularly hard, with more than 340 people who have passed since 9/11. That's the same number of New York's bravest who died that day. And around 11,000 current and former FDNY employees suffer from a 9/11 related illness. That includes some 3,500 with cancer. If you or someone you know was a first responder or a worker at Ground Zero, or you lived, worked, or went to school near that area around the time of the attacks, you can become a member of the World Trade Center Health Program at cdc.gov/WTC. You can read more coverage about the final farewell to Monsignor Delendick on the tablet.org. Hi, I'm Christine Persichetti, anchor of Currents News. If you like what you saw, please hit the like button on this video. And if you want to see more content just like it, subscribe and click on the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching, because we are putting your faith in the news.